I didn't betray him in a moment of rage. It was quieter than that, cleaner. By the time I forwarded the file, I had already built a private case against him in my head. How he was moving ahead faster than I was. How he was trusted more. How his calm confidence filled rooms I struggled to command. We worked in the same department. Same role, same opportunities. But he was the one people leaned toward. The document he shared with me wasn't classified, not exactly. It was an early draft of a proposal he'd been shaping for months. He sent it because he trusted my judgment, asked for feedback. I told myself forwarding it to our director wasn't betrayal. I framed it as initiative. I convinced myself I was protecting the team by accelerating the idea. If the leadership saw it early, we'd all benefit. That's what I told myself. I didn't tell him I'd done it. The meeting invite went out the next morning. The director praised the proactive transparency and asked why the draft hadn't been circulated sooner. He looked surprised. Then he looked at me. He didn't say anything during the meeting. Not once, just took notes. Afterward, I tried to explain. I said it was momentum. I said I believed in his work. He nodded once. I sent it to you because I trusted you, he said. Not accusing, just stating a fact. We spoke less after that. Not cold, not hostile, just reduced. Our conversations narrowed to deliverables and deadlines. The familiarity disappeared like background noise cutting out. A week later, at 11:43 p.m., I received a video from him. The file name was simple. Goodbye. My stomach tightened, not because I expected drama, but because he wasn't dramatic. If he had something to say, it would be deliberate. I waited 10 minutes before opening it. He was sitting at his desk. Same office, same steady posture, no visible anger. I won't make this long, he began. He didn't mention feelings, didn't mention friendship. He outlined dates, emails, the original timestamp of the draft he'd sent me, the forwarding metadata, the meeting invitation, a clear sequence. Then he said something that made my chest feel hollow. I've submitted everything to HR not to punish you, but to document the breach of professional conduct. I can't work in an environment where trust is optional. There was no raised voice, no accusation, just a calm explanation of cause and effect. At midnight, he added, my resignation becomes effective. I've accepted another offer. This video is closure for me. He paused. I hope you reflect on the difference between ambition and integrity. The screen went black. I didn't cry. I didn't panic. I sat still, replaying the tone more than the words. At 8:07 a.m., I received the email from HR. Subject line, internal review initiated. It was procedural language, neutral. They requested a meeting regarding a potential breach of confidentiality and ethical standards. There would be a temporary reassignment of responsibilities pending review. That was the moment control shifted. Not loudly, not publicly, but unmistakably. The director stopped making eye contact in meetings. Conversations paused when I approached. No one accused me outright, but something had recalibrated. Information flowed around me instead of through me. He, meanwhile, was already gone. No farewell lunch. No announcement beyond a short email thanking the team. Professional, gracious. He didn't mention me. The HR meeting wasn't theatrical. They showed printed email chains, asked why I forwarded a draft without consent. I explained my reasoning. I spoke about team benefit, about urgency. They listened. They documented. Intent didn't erase impact. That was their conclusion. I received a formal written warning. It would remain in my file. Future promotions would require review by compliance. The consequences weren't catastrophic. I kept my job, but the architecture of my reputation had shifted. What unsettled me most wasn't the warning. It was the realization that he hadn't tried to fight me in the open. He hadn't argued, confronted, or exposed me socially. He had simply stepped away and ensured the system saw what happened. Authority intervened quietly, and I had no leverage to reclaim. Weeks passed. The office adjusted, so did I. I began noticing how often I justified small shortcuts, how easily I reframed self-interest as strategy. The betrayal hadn't felt malicious when I did it. That was the most uncomfortable truth. I hadn't wanted to hurt him. I had just wanted to advance. The difference matters. One evening, while clearing my inbox, I found our earlier messages. Long threads of collaborative brainstorming. Late-night problem-solving. Encouragement. He had believed in my ability. I betrayed that, not just the document. I considered replying to the video. Drafted apologies. Deleted them. The goodbye wasn't an invitation to repair. It was a boundary. Months later, during my performance review, the director mentioned growth. He said he'd noticed I now request written consent before sharing any material, that I involve collaborators explicitly. You've become more careful, he said. Careful. It wasn't praise. It wasn't condemnation. Just observation. The irreversible part wasn't the disciplinary note. It wasn't the stalled promotion. It was the loss of someone who once trusted me without hesitation. I still think about the simplicity of that video. No revenge, no humiliation, just clarity. He left with his dignity intact. I stayed with the lesson. There's no celebration in that. No dramatic redemption. Only the slow understanding that ambition, without integrity, collapses inward eventually. I didn't lose everything, but I lost something I can't request back.